One of the key trends that we're seeing in the labels industry today is a move towards far more automated processes. So this affects machinery, but also affects workflow and the way we work. And it's really been given a really big boost by the recent COVID pandemic, when kind of the shortage of skilled labour. You just need a few kind of key operators or key people in your operation who suddenly were not available, and those machines couldn't be operated or operating at a lower level of efficiency. We also the industry is faced with a structural issue now. It's very just difficult to find people who want to become machine operators, to find young people who want to enter the industry on that sort of level. So we're facing a crisis in terms of a skilled labour shortage anyway. So automation also feeds into the sustainability as well, because the more you automate a process, the less wastage that you have. So if you look at, let's start with the flexo press. So kind of automation that we've seen in flexo presses, we've seen automation of register controls, both in the cross direction and in the machine direction. Whereas, before these came along, you'd see operators looking at cameras and going along the machine and doing adjustments. And we've also seen automation of the print pressure adjustments on the flexo unit. Again, it's another operation that the operator doesn't have to worry about. And even on the Bob's M6 at Labelexpo, you'll see an automated job change with 2 plate cylinders on a flexo press. So if you look also at technologies like ECG, which is extended colour gamut, we're going to have an ECG feature at the show on the automation arena. So we're going to be talking about the advantages of just keeping those 6 or 7 inks in the press, not using spot colours to mix for different jobs in flexo. So it means you're not washing down the press between jobs. It means you can automate the colour management on the press. It means that your presses are now using the same ink gamut as your digital presses. So if you're using just keeping the 7 inks in the same press, it's a big step towards automation and towards more sustainable operation for the flexo press. If you look at what's happening in digital presses are a lot easier to automate. They're pretty much automated anyway, so they fit much more easily into an integrated workflow. What we are seeing is a lot more automation on the finishing side, on the converting and the finishing side. So, for example, we'll see at the show examples of die cutting units, which are semi-rotated die cutting units with automated plate loading, automated plate ejection, rotary dies, which are automatically monitoring die pressure and adjusting that if there's any kind of variation in the liner. These are all things which before were manual operations and require people to be around the press. So now those operators can be out doing other things, more value-added things, making sure the next job's ready, providing advice to salespeople, looking at plate department, making sure the plates are delivered on time. There's all sorts of value-added things. So we're not talking here about replacing labour with automation. We're just talking about making the whole operation more efficient. We're seeing a lot more AI coming into the industry. So if you look at what's happening on the inspection cameras, so it's almost like now having an expert eye on the full speed running web on the press, that's kind of controlling the scrap takeoff on your inspection rewinders. So in all these kind of ways, we're automating more and more and more of the process. Automation isn't just about machinery though, it's also about workflow. So one of the important things has been, if you're operating a digital press, the whole point is lots of shorter runs, but you have to invoice every job. You're having to work out artwork, you have to proof every job. So actually the workflow, although a digital press is very efficient in changing jobs over very quickly, there's a whole back end of laborious manual tasks which can all be automated now. And again, if you're looking at, if you have a joint shop where you have digital and you have flexo presses, a way of automating jobs as they flow into the factory, automating your workflow production, so no more manual planning boards, etc. So workflows are kind of key in how the press will fit into those workflows. One way that's happening is is we're reading real-time data from presses and machinery, which is being up until cloud portal, and is going to be made available then through management information systems. So it's a good time now to talk about the kind of key feature at the show, which is going to be the automation arena. So we're really going to be bringing together all these trends. You know, at our arenas at Labelexpo, anybody who's seen those before, you'll know that we like to kind of really kind of push forward, you know, what's possible in the industry, what the next steps are for the industry, but still achievable. So we're going to be looking at a lights out production flow. And I know that the term lights out can be a little bit provocative for some people. It can be how are we defining it? We're defining it basically as meaning there's no manual intervention between the origination of the job file, the proofing, the validation by the end user, by the brand owner, right the way through printing, metallization. Then on the converting process, we're going to have an inspection system leading on to a turret rewind. So the partners in the arena are Zycon supplying the press, with inline metallization from Kurtz, and Graphotronic are going to be supplying a converting system. And on the converting system, every step of the converting process, the die cutting, the varnishing, the waste stripping and the slitting is all inspected by its own separate cameras, basically controlling those processes. It's an ESCO AVT camera, which is monitoring all this. ESCO providing the file origination, CERM are providing the overall management information links, which holds the whole thing together. So if you have a good file that goes through and all the cameras, you know, green tick from the cameras, is telling the CERM system that, and CERM system then prints a closing label on the turret rewind. That's good label. It can go straight to the customer, or it can go into a stock. It doesn't need to go to a separate doctoring step. We're then going to be putting some bad labels through it, and you'll see then how once one of those cameras registers a bad label, the closing label says rework needed, and that comes off the turret rewind and goes for a rework. Part of this system is also going to be automated core cutter, which is also going to be controlled through the CERM system. One of the kind of key things about this is that we're still in many cases, too many cases in the label industry, double entering information. You know, so the job bag, and then I put the same information to this machine and that machine, and errors get made. So it's just really kind of bringing everything under one common workflow, which runs the whole factory. And increasingly, the converting and printing machines are becoming just nodes on that network. So very exciting things happening, and look forward to seeing you at the Automation Arena at Labelexpo 2023.